Hello, my name is Emily. I'm with Yesterday's Stash, and I'm here today to show you my latest journal that I have put together. My store, Yesterday's Stash, is truly full of drawers of collections of things that I have picked up along the way or have saved for up to 30 years ago, started saving. And you know how you go into cleaning mode and you say, okay, I'm going to do something with this. Well, I started that about 5 years ago, and I discovered junk journals, and I have been using my supply and supplementing it with thrift store buys items to complement what I have purchased. And I have just really come across some interesting purchases at thrift stores. And in fact, very little of this book has anything that is full price, that I've paid full price for. So lace is one of the things that I have a tremendous amount of. And right here, for instance, an example, I have about 6 bins full of lace like these that are just full of different patterns that are 25 cents for this, $1.50 for this, which I've used some of that. So it's just all kinds of lace. Like I say, I have about 5 or 6 bins full of these different kinds of laces that you can get for really cheap at this thrift store that I go to in my hometown. And so I love lace, so I want to use as much lace as I can. So the theme behind this book was to use as much lace as I could. And that's where I went and took a piece of fabric and just did a whole diagonal sweep of different laces. And then I added this pocket, which this is an interesting paper here that, well, I don't really know if you would call it paper. It almost looks like wallpaper, but it's really more of a plastic finish. You can't really, well, I guess you could tear it. I guess it is a paper that has an interesting finish on it. And so that's what I used on the outside for the spine and for the pocket that's here in the front. And then I made these. This is from Tsunami Rose. I took lace and put it on top of a piece of newspaper, and then I added some paper to the back, and I used sari silk and jute, and then I put just a sign, and this is vintage, so the name of this journal is going to be Vintage Lace Journal. And the actual book itself has 2.5-inch spine, is 5 3/4 by 8 inches, and it has 3 signatures, and is actually a total of 60 pages or 30 pages, front and back 60, and it has 43 removable tags, including the one on the front, and then it has 24 journaling pages, or pages that are, can be used for journaling on, or if you took out the tag, you'd have space here to journal. So there's lots of different spaces to journal, and I also have little books here that I stick in that you can use to journal with, or pick up and go book is what I call them. But I use quite a few of the Etsy sellers. I've already mentioned that I used Tsunami Rose. In fact, a great deal of this book is Jane Austen. This is a Jane Austen themed journal, and so I particularly go for sellers who have really interesting paper packs of the Jane Austen era, or the Regency era, or Edwardian, or British, English, anything to do with England, London, will always be in my journals. Plus, I love texture, so I try to go for stacks and stacks of different textures and feels of things, and just to give texture, or just more interest and more character to the books. This is a piece of Aida cloth, AIDA for cross stitching. This picture here and the picture in the back are from Tsunami Rose, but I use other sellers as well. And throughout this book, the Deli Girl, which has a Spotify shop, delygirl.1961.com, and then I use ArtyMaze, and I've used her Old London collection, and then Dreamzetc. I have a couple of pages from Dreamzetc. So some of them I'll be able to point out which ones, but just FYI, I did the research to know that most of this come from those 4 collections, but I use others as well. It's just that those particular, like Deli Girl, she has, it's called the R. Jane collection, and ArtyMaze has got some Jane Austen plus Old London, and then Dreamzetc has some good Jane Austen collections. So the book is going to feature quotes from Jane Austen, and it's going to feature these types of tags that I've added back and made it really sturdy. It also, this is also from, I believe, ArtyMaze, and it's from one of her kits and has this little fold thing here. And then these pages here are from Tsunami Rose. This is from Tsunami Rose. And I probably have, like I say, I've got so many different laces that I have different ones on each page. And I try to put one on every page, but I didn't put one on this page. But this is a different lace. Here's 2 different laces. This is an actual, this belly band. It has, is where you would have the ribbon that has the lace on either side of it. So this is some seed packets, and I found this book that had where you could keep a record of the books that you've read, and so I pulled a couple of those pages and put them in here. Here's another one of those take and go books that I talked about that would give you an opportunity to. And then did some, I think for this one I used a piece of fabric that has a nice, that you can trim and shred or whatever and make into a little tag or journaling card. This is from Tsunami Rose. This one is from ArtyMaze. This is just a library envelope and a couple of tags enclosed in them. This is from Tsunami Rose's Regency Jane Austen collection, and some pink hem tape, hem binding on it. And if you'll notice, I really like to put a glitter or a finish on most of my pages. And this is what I have been using. It's called Sargent Art, and it's acrylic glitter glaze. And I use that, if I don't use a glaze or a glitter or a topping of some sort, I use this clear sealer. And it says here that the clear sealer is used for protection on coating on most surfaces, wood, metal, plastic, paper, wicker, whatever. And so to protect the pages on the outside, I usually, when I finish a page, I will spray it with this clear sealer to give it a longer age. These are what we call thoughtfuls. They come from, you can get them at gift stores. I got mine at a cupcake shop, but Barnes & Noble also sells them. And it's a perforated, and it's just little sayings that have different themes. This one has believe, and this one has hope. And I will be putting thoughtful is live-inspired.com, and I'll put that in the description box below. This is a mystery box find from Tsunami Rose. And I tried to find, I found a couple of pictures from, this is on the canal in London. And so I put pictures of London or England that I have found. This is actually a gift tag. No, it's actually a bridge, what you use for keeping score on bridge. And there was a few of them stacked up somewhere, so I cut that off and did a little embellishment of lace on it. Here are a couple of pieces of stationery. The store just has gobs of different stationaries that are partial packs for next to nothing. These are some cards from one of the Jane Austen collections from Tsunami Rose. This is a library card that I did a little collaging on and put some lace around it. More journaling pages. This is from Tsunami Rose, and this is another one of those tags where I use a variety of different textures, music paper, lace, trim, and some sewing, zigzag sewing, and then one of the photos from Tsunami Rose. It just beautiful paper that she has. I actually have printed this on more of a cardstock paper instead of a white, and that I think gives it a more authentic look. This is this is an actual sari silk here. And the most recent sari silk that I bought is this one. I buy this on from an Etsy seller, and I love this color, so I can't wait to start using that. Sometime back, I ran across a stack of old. Somebody was keeping up a picture collection from Peterson magazine, and it was in a stack at the thrift store, and the pages were so thin. And right here at the top it says 1875. It's Peterson's magazine. It was just this huge, like maybe 2-inch stack of all of these papers. So I took the better of the two sides and sewed around it. But this is the 1875 paper, and I've stuck it here in this big piece of lace to protect it. And another Jane Austen quote. This comes from the Deli Girl, another one of those tags. Just a lot of interesting paper. I try to include a 4-leaf clover in every book. This paper background here is from ArtyMaze, and what I do when they sell a lot of paper, and I have some old paper, and I was trying to use it up, but sometimes the paper is just not one where you can actually have it be a page, and even gluing it together doesn't help it. So I have taken to cutting around it or tearing around it and putting a finish on it, coffee or tea, or staining it in some way and putting it on a page so that it can be written on and used as a journal page. This is actually cutouts that I ordered from an Etsy seller. More lace, trim. Another picture from the Jane Austen collection from Tsunami Rose. This was an old postcard, and I cut it down and made it into a tag. This is an artist who loves cats, and I'm a cat lover myself. And I made tags from her work. Her name is her last name is Sargent, Sargent, and she lives in Seattle. I can't think of her first name at the moment. I got interested in lacing paper together and then putting a finish on it, and I actually sprayed this with some of that clear finish, so to kind of protect it. This is off of the internet. This is an actual open of Jane Austen's novel, author's edition. It's got an advertisement for her work, and then different attractions in London. Another one of these pockets. The page here comes from Dreamzetc, etc., and I believe this page here is a Dreamzetc, Jane Austen. This is new. I did pay full price for the stamp from Stamp Francisco for the Tiffany, and I put that, used a StazOn ink and put it on a glassine bag, and then I've just stuck a little something in there. Here's a postcard called Saint Angelo, and it is something that I just picked up at the thrift store, a partial packet, using these teardrop paper clips. This is from Old London. This is a quote, a Jane Austen quote, more Tsunami, no, not Tsunami Rose, but Dreams, etc. More postcards, interesting mix of design or lace that, you know, just to look at it, you think, oh, that's so ugly, but then when you go and actually cut it up and use it, it kind of makes an interesting design. More tags and pockets. More Tsunami Rose picture from her Jane Austen papers. This is another one of those that I took, and these are tags from Tsunami Rose, and I put a brick colored finish around it and put some washi tape on it. And then here I have, this is from Tsunami Rose, and I have here some more tags. This is actually a set of cards. It was like 40 cards with wine facts that I got for $1 at a used bookstore, so I picked it up, and I'm using that in my journals. Here's a little place where you can tack a note. Some stamping. A quote from Pride and Prejudice. More postcards. A wide lace. This is actually, I believe this is actually a gift card that I found a stack of, and I mean, they had just gotten them in, and it was this huge stack of gift cards, and you could buy them in bulk for like, you know, 10 cents an ounce or something like that. And I purchased that. I actually got crazy over making little ATC card glassine bags, and I put some of my shiny finish on it. And then these are some ATC cards that I have. This is a little cluster of different things that came from Tsunami Rose. It's actually a piece of ribbon and one of the words that I got from her, and then this came from one of her mystery boxes. They're her cutouts that she did with her scan. You know what I mean. I can't remember the name of it. Same thing here. Used that. This has got a little piece of lace coming out of it. I used texture again. Page out of a dictionary with a glitter on it around jute, and then I put a backing on it so that it can be used. This is actually one of those gift cards, another one of those gift cards that you can use as to stick a little note in. Bookmark. This came from Zazzle. It was actually a postcard, and it had a lot of Jane Austen. They have a lot of Jane Austen quotes. So I put some Inca Gold on the outside, cut it, did a little corner round on it, and it, you know, you would never know it was a postcard at one time. But I also have a collection of stamps. especially the Jane Austen stamps that every once in a while or during certain commemorative years, England will have commemorative stamps for different the different books that Jane Austen wrote. And right here is another one of those clusters, and a sewing tag that you can open up and use, and another tag that I did some collaging on the outside. Also, at the end of each book, if there are things that I had stacked up to send with this book, I will be including it. I in my spare time, I love to make those raggeties that was started by Nick the Booksmith, and so I make the raggeties, and then anything that will fit into the raggedy I will include. So there will be extra tags or extra things to go with this book. You can actually take all of the tags out. They're all removable. This is attached together with one of those clasps that you can take off and actually take the lace off. The back of the book is actually like a tablecloth that was a woven tablecloth that had stained spots on it, but this part was good and clean, so I made that up into a back for the book. This book will be for sale in my Etsy store, Yesterday's Stash. I appreciate your taking the time to look at my books. I know you have a lot of choices of where you can go to get your journals, and I appreciate your taking the time to spend with me in looking over this book.